Never tolerate these 5 kinds of people in your life. Not because you hate them, not because you think you're better than them, but because your future depends on who you allow close to your mind. Every person around you is either building your life or slowly dismantling it. Most people don't realize this until they feel exhausted all the time, until they lose years trying to fix people who were never meant to stay, until they look back and realize their biggest mistake wasn't failure, it was tolerance. Let's talk about reality, the kind no one warns you about. The first type of person you should never tolerate is the chronic victim. You know them. Nothing is ever their fault. Life is unfair. People are against them. The world keeps betraying them. At first, you feel sympathy. You want to help. You listen. You encourage. But slowly, something changes. Your energy becomes their fuel. Your positivity becomes their target because victims don't want solutions. They want witnesses. They need someone to confirm their pain so they can avoid responsibility. Watch carefully. Offer them a real solution, and they reject it. Suggest change, and they feel attacked. Hold them accountable, and suddenly you're the villain. And if you stay long enough around them, you begin to think like them. You start seeing problems before opportunities, excuses before action. Negativity is contagious. The brutal truth: you cannot save someone addicted to their own suffering, and if you keep trying, you'll drown with them. The second type, the silent competitor. This one is dangerous because they look like a friend. They clap when you win, but their smile never reaches their eyes. They ask questions not to understand you, but to measure you. Every success you achieve becomes a threat to them. You notice small things. When you share good news, they change the topic. When you fail, they suddenly become very supportive. Why? Because some people don't want you to lose. They just don't want you to win more than them. Their competition is quiet. They copy your moves, compare your progress, and secretly hope life humbles you. This kind of person teaches you an important lesson. Not everyone celebrating with you is happy for you. Sometimes applause hides envy, and envy is patient. It waits. The third type, the emotional manipulator. They don't scream. They don't threaten. They play psychology. They guilt you for setting boundaries. They twist your words. They make you feel responsible for their emotions. One day you say no, and suddenly you're selfish. You ask for respect, and they call you cold. Over time, you begin apologizing for things that aren't wrong. You walk on eggshells. You edit your personality just to keep peace. That's not love. That's control. Manipulators don't want partners. They want puppets. And the scariest part? They often look like caring people. They say, "I only want what's best for you." But what they really mean is, "I want what keeps me comfortable." Reality check. Anyone who punishes you for having boundaries was benefiting from you having none. The fourth type? The chronic critic. This person always has advice, always has an opinion, always sees what you're doing wrong. You start a project. They point out risks. You chase a dream. They talk about failure. At first, it sounds logical. But slowly, you realize something. They never create anything themselves. Criticism is easy when you're sitting safely on the sidelines. These people disguise fear as wisdom. They'll tell you to be realistic because they gave up on their own ambition long ago. And misery loves company. They don't pull you down with force. They do it with doubt. A quiet sentence here, a sarcastic comment there, until your confidence becomes smaller than your potential. Remember this: Constructive criticism helps you grow. Chronic criticism keeps you small. Learn the difference. The fifth and most dangerous type, the energy vampire. This person leaves you tired every single time you interact with them. You feel heavy after conversations, drained after meetings, confused about why you're exhausted. They bring chaos wherever they go. Drama follows them like a shadow. They gossip. They create conflict. They live in emotional storms. And the dangerous part, they make chaos feel normal. After enough exposure, peace feels boring. You begin expecting problems where there are none. Your nervous system adapts to stress, and your growth stops because survival mode doesn't allow evolution. Here's the brutal truth most people ignore. You're not strong because you tolerate toxicity. You're afraid to let go. Strength isn't endurance of pain. Strength is choosing peace, even when it means walking away. Now pause for a moment. Think about your life. How many times have you stayed too long? How many times did you know someone was wrong for you, but stayed because of history, loyalty, or guilt? People will tell you to be kind. And yes, be kind. This is why leaving toxic people is only half the battle. Healing your patterns is the other half. Let's go even deeper. There's a sixth type of person most people never notice. The convenient friend. They appear when they need something, disappear when you need support, and they keep you close enough to use, but never close enough to invest in. You excuse it. They're just busy. They're going through things. But pay attention. Everyone is busy, yet people make time for what matters. Consistency reveals priority. A convenient friend is not evil. They're simply transactional. And if you stay in those dynamics long enough, you start believing your value depends on what you provide. You become useful instead of respected. And usefulness has an expiration date. The moment you stop giving, they fade away. Another hard reality. Some people don't love you. They love the version of themselves that benefits from you. Now let's talk about the biggest lie society teaches. Keep everyone happy. Impossible. The moment you start choosing yourself, someone will feel abandoned. The moment you set boundaries, someone will call you difficult. Growth naturally creates distance, because not everyone can go where you are going. And this is where most people fail. They try to drag everyone along. They slow their progress to maintain comfort. But success has a hidden price. Outgrowing people. Not because you look down on them, but because your mindset no longer aligns. Imagine climbing a mountain while people keep pulling you back to the base. Eventually, you must decide. Do you stop climbing or let go? Here's another brutal truth. Some people fear your growth because it exposes their stagnation. Your discipline reminds them of their excuses. Your ambition highlights their comfort. Your change forces them to confront their own choices. So they criticize, they mock, they predict your failure. Not because you can't succeed, but because your success forces them to question themselves. This is why silence becomes powerful. You don't argue, you don't defend. You simply continue walking. Nothing frustrates toxic people more than losing emotional control over you. And let's talk about emotional control. The moment someone can control your emotions, they control your decisions. They know exactly what to say to trigger guilt, exactly what to do to gain your attention, exactly when to disappear so you chase them. This is psychological conditioning. Like a reward system. Small affection, long withdrawal, sudden praise. Your brain becomes addicted to approval. You start working for emotional scraps. And the scary part? You call it connection. Real connection doesn't feel like anxiety. It feels like stability. Let's pause here. Take a breath. Think about someone in your life right now. Do they bring clarity or confusion? Energy or exhaustion? Growth or stagnation? Your body already knows the answer. People ignore intuition because truth is inconvenient. But intuition is often just pattern recognition your mind hasn't verbalized yet. Now, another layer. Why do people fear cutting others off? Because of guilt. Guilt sounds noble, but often it's fear wearing a moral mask. Fear of being seen as the bad person. Fear of loneliness. Fear of starting over socially. But understand this. You are not responsible for maintaining relationships that destroy your peace. Compassion does not require access. You can forgive without reconnecting. You can heal without reopening the door. And sometimes, distance is the most loving thing you can give both yourself and them. Let's move into something even darker. Toxic people often sense who lacks boundaries. It's almost instinctive. They test slowly. A small disrespect, a small manipulation, a small demand. If you tolerate it, they push further. Boundaries are like locks. Without them, you invite theft of your energy. And once people get used to unlimited access, boundaries feel like punishment to them. Expect resistance. Expect confusion. Expect pushback. That's normal, because change disrupts comfort. Here's a powerful shift. Stop asking, why are they like this? Start asking, why am I allowing this? That question changes everything, because the moment responsibility returns to you, power returns too. You cannot control others. You can control access, and access is everything. Now imagine your life 5 years from now. Same people, same patterns, same emotional cycles. How does that future feel? Heavy, predictable, exhausting? Now imagine another version. You chose peace. You chose boundaries. You surrounded yourself with people who inspire growth. How different does your energy feel? That future starts with one decision, one conversation you avoid, one message you don't reply to immediately, one limit you enforce. Small actions create massive change. And here's a truth most motivational videos won't tell you. Sometimes boundaries mean losing people you still care about. That pain is real, but never confuse kindness with self-destruction. You can wish someone well. From a distance, you can care without carrying them. Maturity is realizing that not everyone deserves access to your mind. Your attention is currency. Your energy is limited. Your time is non-refundable. Every minute spent around the wrong person steals from the person you're trying to become. Here's what happens when you finally remove toxic people. At first, it feels lonely, quiet, uncomfortable, because chaos was familiar. But slowly, your mind becomes clearer. Your confidence returns. Your goals feel possible again. You realize you were never lazy. You were emotionally exhausted. You were not unmotivated. You were surrounded by doubt. You were not weak. You were carrying unnecessary weight. Most viewers watching this won't take action. They'll nod, agree. Then go back to the same people tomorrow, because cutting ties feels harsh. But listen carefully. Life is harsh either way. You can choose the pain of growth or the pain of staying stuck. Both hurt. Only one changes your future. And here's a reality few people admit. Sometimes the person you need to distance yourself from is someone you love. Maybe a friend from years ago. Maybe family. Maybe someone you once trusted deeply. Love doesn't cancel damage. History doesn't justify disrespect. And loyalty without boundaries becomes self-betrayal. You don't need to announce your departure. No dramatic speeches, no revenge. Just silent distance. Less access, Less explanation. Let your absence say what words cannot. People will call you cold. Let them. They don't feel what you feel when your spirit is drained. They don't live inside your mind. Protection looks selfish to people who benefited from your weakness. And finally, understand this. The goal is not to hate people. The goal is to protect your future. Because success is rarely about talent alone. It's about environment. Who surrounds you shapes your standards. Your standards shape your actions. Your actions shape your destiny. So ask yourself, who are you allowing close to your life right now? Who drains you? Who secretly competes with you? Who manipulates you? Who criticizes without building? Who leaves you tired? One decision, one boundary, can change your entire future. And maybe the darkest truth of all. The moment you stop tolerating the wrong people, you finally meet the person you were supposed to become. Silence follows. Peace enters. And for the first time, you realize that protecting your energy isn't cruelty. It's survival. And survival is the beginning of power. Now let's go deeper. Because most people understand the idea of toxic people. But they don't understand the psychological trap that keeps them stuck. The trap is familiarity. Human beings are wired to choose what feels familiar over what is healthy. If chaos was normal in your past, calm feels suspicious. If criticism shaped your childhood, encouragement feels fake. If you grew up proving your worth, you will subconsciously attract people who make you prove it again. And this is where the dark reality begins. Sometimes you don't just tolerate toxic people, you seek them, not because you want pain, but because your mind mistakes familiarity for safety. That's why the same story repeats. Different faces, same wounds. The friend who drains you, the partner who manipulates you, the colleague who competes silently. Different names, identical patterns. Until one day you wake up and ask yourself, why does this keep happening to me? Because boundaries are not built in a moment of anger. They are built through self-respect. And self-respect is something many people were never taught. Let's talk about what happens psychologically when you keep tolerating the wrong people. Your brain enters survival mode. You become hyper-aware of mood shifts. You overthink conversations. You replay words at night. You try to predict reactions before speaking. This is mental exhaustion disguised as loyalty. You start shrinking yourself, speaking less, dreaming smaller, avoiding conflict at all costs. And here's the brutal truth. You are not keeping the peace. You are abandoning yourself. Every time you ignore disrespect, your subconscious receives a message. This is acceptable. Over time, your standards lower without you realizing. What once shocked you becomes normal. What once hurt you becomes expected. And when good people finally enter your life, you feel uncomfortable around them. Because healthy relationships don't require constant emotional defense. Let that sink in. Now imagine this. You walk into a room full of people who genuinely support you. No hidden competition, no manipulation, no criticism disguised as advice. At first, you won't trust it. You'll look for hidden motives. You'll wait for the catch. Because when you're used to emotional warfare, peace feels like a trap. But temporary pain is better than permanent damage. Growth is quiet. It happens when no one claps, when no one notices, when you choose yourself repeatedly in small moments. Let's talk about loneliness for a moment. Many people stay in toxic circles because loneliness feels terrifying. But there are two kinds of loneliness. The loneliness of being alone and the loneliness of being surrounded by people who don't understand you. The second one hurts more. At least when you're alone, you can hear yourself think. You can rebuild. You can rediscover who you are without constant influence. And eventually, you attract different people. Not because you chase them, but because your standards changed. Energy is magnetic. When you stop tolerating chaos, chaos stops recognizing you as home. Now listen carefully. You don't need to hate anyone to walk away. Hatred keeps you emotionally attached. Indifference is freedom. Wish them well, but keep moving. The final realization, and maybe the hardest one. Sometimes you were the one tolerating too much because you feared your own potential. Because if the wrong people disappear, excuses disappear too. You can no longer blame distraction. You face yourself, your goals, your discipline, your future. And that can be scary. But it's also where power begins. So here's your challenge. Look around your life honestly. Identify the relationships that consistently leave you smaller than you started, and ask yourself one question. If I met this person today, would I invite them into my life? If the answer is no, you already know what to do. Protect your mind. Protect your peace. Protect your future. Because one day you'll realize, success isn't only about what you build. It's also about what you refuse to carry. And the people you stop tolerating might be the reason your life finally starts moving forward. Silence again. Breath steady. Because the real transformation doesn't happen when you understand this message. It happens when you act on it. And that moment could start today.